Hello out there to all of my fellow gold diggers. This is your girl Rita coming to you with another video. This is episode 5, the last and final episode where I am doing a review of the Netflix docuseries called Money Explained. Today's episode is about retirement, and we have a lot of stuff to get into today regarding this video. When it comes to retirement, we are going to be talking about why it may be difficult for us to plan for retirement. Can you even afford to retire? We're going to talk about the history of retirement plans, the history of Social Security, the history of 401k plans, current retirement options that we have available to us today, and possible ways that our retirement system can be reformed. So yes, there is a lot to get into. There's a lot of great information in today's video, so please be sure to check it out. Also, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also hit the like button. It definitely helps for me to get my channel out to more people so that they can get some of this information and receive this great content. Also, I have a goal where I am trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you can help me achieve that by either subscribing to the channel or liking the video, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Gold Digger Chick, GOAL Digger Chick, and you'll get more regular updates from me about my personal finance journey and personal finance tips that I am currently using. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So, first thing we're going to talk about is why it may be difficult for people to plan for retirement. And what they think is that it is hard for people to kind of see themselves in the future. It's hard for people to picture themselves as an older individual. It just doesn't seem like realistic. Like you can't see yourself as being old or whatever. So because of that, they feel like it might be harder for people to plan for retirement. And they actually did some studies and used like these aging apps and things like that. And they found that when people saw themselves, the version of themselves when they were older, they were twice as more likely to start contributing to their retirement fund as opposed to people who had not, participated or done the aging app, that kind of thing. So we have a hard time picturing ourselves in the future. We have a hard time picturing ourselves getting older. And I totally get it. Like, I really can't picture myself older. I know I'm going to get older or whatever, but it's hard to see my future self, and that can sometimes prevent you from contributing because you feel like it's so far off. Like, I got time that's way in the future or whatever. So it's hard for you to kind of picture that, okay? Now, next up is seeing if people can even afford to retire. The reason for that is that they are seeing that most people have not saved or invested into their retirement accounts in order to maintain their current standard of living. The statistics show that 25% of Americans don't even have anything saved into retirement, and 92% of Americans are not meeting their retirement savings target. Now, y'all know I tend to try to take statistics within their context. So I don't know what they mean by retirement savings target. Like, is this what the government is proposing you need for the retirement, or is this what the individual is proposing that they need for retirement? It didn't really specify that, because maybe you're thinking you need $1 million, or the government is saying you need $1 million and you really need $2 million. I'm not sure what the target is, but they're saying a lot of us are not going to meet our target, apparently, or whatever. All right, so we might not be able to afford to retire. Now, how did retirement plans even come about? So there was this guy, his name was Dr. Francis Townsend, and pretty much he was observing some things during the Great Depression where he would see these elderly people in poverty, and he wanted to eradicate poverty for elderly individuals, and he came up with this thing called the Townsend Plan. Basically what it said is that anyone over age 60, the government should give them $200 a month once they get to that age, to kind of help prevent them going into poverty when they get older. Now, $200, this was in 1933. So $200 at that time is equivalent to $4,000 a month today. Now, prior to this, people pretty much worked until they died. Yeah, y'all already know I'm definitely not with that. Not at all. I'm not working until I die or whatever. So prior to that, people really didn't have any retirement plan. You just kind of worked and eventually you passed away or whatever. So he came up with this plan. Now, during this time, there were pensions available. Pensions were mainly available to military personnel, and later on, it did become available to like certain industries. So, but just keep in mind, majority of people did not have anything like retirement pensions or anything like that. So by 1935, he had these things called Townsend clubs, where he had 7,000 clubs all over the country, and he had 1.5 million people enrolled in these clubs to help with the retirement plan. Now, because of this, the president at the time, FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, introduced Social Security. So that is how Social Security came about during that time as well. Now, history lesson or whatever, or just a quick little fact or whatever. Keep in mind, this is 1933. These benefits probably did not benefit people who looked like me, okay? Because we were still trying to fight for our civil rights and all kinds of stuff and equality and that kind of things. So these 1.5 million that were part of the Townsend Club and that kind of stuff and part of the retirement community were probably, I ain't gonna say probably, they were mainly white people. They weren't people that looked like me. There was no plan for me or whatever. But with the coming about of Social Security, basically what that was is that from your paycheck you would contribute a certain amount of money to help you when you eventually began to retire or whatever. Now, Social Security today only provides about 40% of your pre-retirement salary. So you still have to come up with the other 60% because a lot of people were relying on Social Security, and back then maybe you could rely on Social Security, but times have definitely changed, and currently as it stands, Social Security is only going to provide 40%. Now, what is kind of crazy to me, I won't say crazy, but interesting and surprising to me is that even though it only provides 40% of your pre-retirement salary, it makes up 25% of the government budget. So we are spending a lot of money to give people these Social Security benefits, and it's taking 25% of the budget, and we're still falling short. Like, people are still falling short. Like, they still are not having enough to kind of live off of, which just kind of tells me like we've kind of been robbing Peter to pay Paul for the longest time. And so going back to the original video from the first episode 1, where it talked about scams, like this whole system, it kind of reminds me of like the pyramid scheme again. Like, it's like you just got to keep recruiting more people into the system in order for it to stay afloat. And I feel like, y'all, eventually this isn't working, and eventually it's going to crash. Now, that is just my personal opinion. This was not in the video or anything like that, but this is just what it reminded me of when I was watching this particular episode. I'm like, this Social Security, it's like a Ponzi scheme, like a pyramid scheme or whatever. So that was just a side note there. So that was how Social Security came about. Now, eventually we got into what is called 401k. Hey, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Gold Digger Chick. I look forward to seeing you all over there. And as always, check out my Etsy shop. And coming soon, I am going to have some new merch for all of my fellow gold diggers. Now, how that came about is there was a guy named Ted Benner. I think he was some kind of consultant. And in 1980, he found this new section in the tax code, which was 401k. And basically it said that your employer could contribute money to your retirement account, and you could also do the same thing and match it. The employer could match it or whatever. And basically what it did is it shifted the responsibility of retirement from the employer to the employee. And the company match, or the match that we know of today, was just an incentive that businesses and companies offered to get people to even contribute into the 401k. So the 401k basically was saying like, hey, you can contribute into your retirement accounts. That's what it is. And because you're contributing to the retirement account, we as the employer are going to match that so that they wouldn't have to be responsible for providing them with pensions. So that's when you see a decrease in pensions as well during that time. And I think the statistics were showing that in 1980, 38% of people had pension plans versus in 2019, only 20% of people had pension plans. But another side note, I didn't, when you really think about it, so I'm almost 40 years old. So you mean to tell me the 401k has only been around for about 40 years, 41 years, that's all it's been around for or whatever, which goes back to like the wealth gap and all that kind of stuff. And it just, I don't know, I'm just intrigued that this has only been around for this long and how it still can affect us and create these wealth gaps and things like that. We'll get into that a little bit more a little bit later. But here's the thing. The 401k was never designed to be our national retirement plan or our system, but yet here we are. So the 401k, it was never meant to be the United States retirement plan. Now, the statistics show that today 59% of workers have access to a 401k plan, and this does not include self-employed workers. Now, what access means, I don't know. I don't know if it means they have access, like they could contribute, but if they don't contribute, that kind of thing, you know, they missed out on it. Or, you know, what does access mean? Do they already have one and they can easily get to it? Like, I don't know what the term access means, but that was just there. So that one I don't know about. I won't say I'm questionable or whatever, but I would just want to know, what does the access mean? Are they actually using it, or the employer just has it and it's up to the employee to contribute the money to it and everything? So that was how 401k plans came around. It pretty much shifted the responsibility for retirement from the employer when we had the pensions to now to the employee. Okay, now there are different types of retirement plans, which can make the whole thing or trying to navigate through it kind of confusing, and it can be overwhelming because there is the 401k, there is the traditional IRA, there is the Roth IRA, there is the SEP IRA, there is the HSA, the health savings account, there are traditional brokerage accounts, there are index funds, there are equities, there are all these different options. And I know for me, for the longest time, all I heard about was a 401k. Once I found out that there's these other options, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What do we have to do? I didn't even know this stuff was available to me. Also, shout out to our Rich Journey, who was featured in this episode about retirement. If you don't follow them on YouTube, you should, because they have retired early and they are living their best life and having a good time. All right, but yes, so there are different options when it comes to retirement plans. Now, when the 401k came about, it did exclude certain people. The Docuseries said that it excluded people who did domestic work and people who worked in agriculture, which, surprise, was a lot of Black people and minorities or whatever. And like I said, if you tie everything together and don't just look at things in a vacuum, consider why Blacks, African Americans, minorities had to work these types of jobs, domestic jobs, agricultural jobs, or whatever. Keep in mind, we didn't have access to just basic education or the same level of education as our white counterparts or whatever. Because remember, Brown versus Board of Education was like in the 1950s, 1954, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever. So keep in mind, we were just trying to get access to basic education. Also, in terms of higher education, that was like briefly discussed during the college debt or student loan debt episode, which I think was episode 3. Make sure you check that out or whatever. Even during that time, most people who were getting, when they introduced student loan grants, most people who were going to 4-year schools or getting bachelor's degrees were white males. So if Blacks are getting put out of the educational system, that is preventing them from getting jobs, professional jobs, good paying jobs, and being able to contribute. And then when they do create like a retirement plan, you're excluded from it because you were already excluded from the educational system, which prevented you from getting a better paying job. You see this cycle. You see this cycle. So I'm not going to get into it any more than that, but that is what we're dealing with. That is part of the wealth gap in this country, especially when it comes to blacks and minorities. Okay. Now, also, the studies did show too that the 401ks and IRAs, it only mainly benefited the top 20% of Americans. And that's because these people were the ones that were likely making more money. So they had the extra money to contribute to their retirement plans. The people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they are not contributing to their retirement plans because they're just trying to meet their immediate basic needs. So they don't necessarily have the extra money to put into these retirement plans. Now, some economists, some people's solutions to the retirement issue that we are having is for us to work more. Y'all know I'm on the side of that. I'm not trying to work until I die. Now, the UK, the United Kingdom, around the time, like around the 1980s, I guess, when we had started this individual retirement plan, they had also started something similar. But over time, they realized, hey, this isn't working. We need to shift this. And what they did is they started taking a percentage of money out of people's paychecks in order to fund their retirement system, and they found that it worked better. Now, when I was watching the video, I was like, why are they referencing this? Because we already done talked about this with Social Security, and we showed that Social Security, here in the U.S., we're already doing that. It's not working. It's only meeting 40% of our retirement, pre-retirement salaries and stuff. So why are they talking about the UK and trying to take stuff out of people's paycheck? Like, we already tried this, it's not working. But then they went further. If I just held on for another 30 seconds to a minute, they went on to explain, which was something that I did not know. Fun fact said, and like I'm saying fun fact sarcastically, is that I didn't realize that once you make over $137,900 for the year, they stop taking Social Security out of your paycheck for the remainder of the year. So these people who are high earners are not contributing to Social Security. So imagine if they were contributing to Social Security, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people making over that amount or whatever. If they were contributing to Social Security, we probably wouldn't have this issue with Social Security that we're having today. All right, so I was just like, this is crazy. Yes, we definitely need to reform this and change this, and it's like even some little minor changes will definitely help the Social Security issue and help people with their retirement plans and everything. All right, so that is all I have for now. Definitely very helpful information, especially since I am considering becoming part of the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, because y'all know your girl is not trying to work for forever. Hopefully I'll be able to retire in 6 years. We'll see what happens. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it some kind of way. But let me know your thoughts on retirement. What do you think will work? What has worked for you? What do you think we need to change? What were your thoughts on this? And make sure you definitely check out the video too as well. All right, that is all I have for now. This is Rita, also known as the Gold Digger. Like and subscribe to the channel and follow me on IG at Gold Digger Chick. Take care, everyone.